Over the past few years, one of the things we've heard people say the most is, why can't we have a motorized platter DJ controller that's also standalone, that doesn't need a computer? Well, here it is. This is the Rane System One. It is easily the most comprehensive engine DJ controller made to date, and it has motorized platters. It is the first Rane standalone engine unit, and it really is quite something. In this review, I'm going to talk you through everything about this exciting new DJ controller that is pushing the boundaries of what standalone stuff can do. I'm going to talk you through every feature. I'm going to talk you through all the effects, where you can plug stuff in, what you can plug in, the other things it does that might not be immediately apparent. By the end of it, you'll be very sure whether this is something that you want to go for. I think if you've been waiting for a standalone motorized all-in-one DJ unit, once you see what this can do and how much it's pushed the engine software that is embedded in it further than it's ever been pushed before, you'll probably be ready to pull the trigger on one of these. Hi, I'm Phil Morse from Digital DJ Tips, where we teach DJing, review DJ gear, and keep you up to date with the latest DJ industry news. Let's get started on this one. So this is Rane build quality. It's metal, it's got feet that stick up and make it nice and high. It is a 2-channel unit. It's got the motorized platters from the Rane One, which means that they've got the vinyl top. They're really, really nice to use. It's got this distinctive vertical screen as well, which is something completely new on this kind of unit. With the vertical waveforms, although you can change these. It's definitely aimed at open format DJs, but I would say that this unit is good for general DJing as well. It's a great all-rounder for everyone. So let's talk through the decks. So each deck is identical in most areas. We've got the actual platter itself. We've got the long throw pitch control. You've got key lock. You can change to 33 or 45 for the spinning speed. You've got slip mode, and you can turn the motor on and off. There's a sensor button. There's a silent cue button. You can reverse the deck by pressing shift and holding down this one here. Beat jump controls, including beat jump length, but if you hold down shift, you can quickly scrub through the track there. Stop time for the deck, so you can make it sound more or less like vinyl stops. And then down at this part, we've got our sync, our cue, our start stop. We've got 8 pads, they're full color. They've got a OLED screen on them, which is really nice. You've got your pad selectors, hot cue, roll, sampler, and stems are the pad modes. There's no saved loops pad mode there. You've got pad parameters here as well. As always with these brands, you've got pitch bend, which is really nice when you've got a motorized platter, because you can bend the pitch to match your BPMs across the decks more subtly using a pitch bend than you can by trying to nudge on platters like this. And you can change the pitch range by holding down shift and pressing these buttons here for this. You can adjust the key and you can sync the key. So this has got full key sync in a standalone. And then we've got stems control here for acapellas and instrumentals. Here's our looping controls. Nothing unusual here about these controls. We've seen all these before. Again, they're on an engine standalone with a really good version of engine that we're going to look closer at. So the decks aren't quite identical. Over here, we have bits where the decks differ from each other. So to start with, our volume controls here are for the booth and for the main output. There's also a record output. We'll look around the back in a minute. This is a nice little feature. You've got playlist banks A, B, and C, where you can save tracks to playlists that you assign to these bank buttons, and you can remove tracks from them as well, building up playlists on the fly, helping you to use this for day-to-day music discovery and practice at home in ways that it didn't do before. Playlist building was pretty poor on, and is pretty poor on, standalone gear up until this point. That's a really nice feature. They're clearly quite into that because they put the buttons right there. However, over on the other side, that's not what you get. On the other side, you get this global set of buttons, which let you do some pretty cool things with the mixer. You can now go in here and select what is playing on each channel individually. So it's currently set to engine. It's a standalone. That's how you would have it set. However, here we can set it to computer as well. And so now this deck is playing on software, and this deck is playing on engine without rebooting, without changing anything else. Yes, finally, you can play on both a plugged-in computer and on the standalone, as I say, without utterly rebooting the whole unit, which you had to do on all engine gear up until now, which is huge. Now, in the same place, you can also do some pretty cool things with the microphone, for instance, and also the output. So here we've got Microphone reverb, microphone echo speed, anti-feedback. We can put the mic to the booth, to the headphones or not. And there's advanced controls here as well for attenuation, threshold, and microphone full equalizer. We've also got 10 band EQ over both the main and booth output. Again, this is just all really new stuff. The main VU meter can be put to pre or post. And so these buttons over here then are doing something a little bit different. Now we've got a record button there, so you can record from the unit directly to anything plugged into it. And the quantized button is over here as well. So there's the decks. Let's have a look at the mixer then. So the mixer section right down the middle of the unit. The top here, we have our scrolling for each deck and our loading for each deck. So this lets you go through your library and pick a song. When you're doing that, it will automatically move to library as soon as you touch it, which is nice. So you can also use these to help you with the grids. Double tapping will give you your doubles across each deck for instant doubles. So now we've also got the library controls down here. So we've got the back and prepare window using shift or just touching this white button here. These blue controls all over the unit are stems controls. So whenever you see blue written on the unit, it's something to do with stems. We'll demo stems a little bit later on. So moving down then, we've got our levels, our inputs, our trims or gains. Then we've got high, mid and low, although again, we've got the stems here for drums, melody and vocals, so you can use these for mixing with those as well. We've got the sweep effects here. I'm going to demo these for you, and you can select sweep effects using these buttons here. Now these are paddles. Again, this is a classic open format way of triggering your effects. Really nice hardware effects. There's 6 buttons for the hardware effects here. This area here is well implemented. There's a lot here, but it's quite immediate and easy to use, and you can select from up to 25 hardware effects as well. You don't have to stick with the 6 that they've given you here if you don't like them. It has fader effects. I'm going to demo those so you can have effects on the faders themselves. It has touch effects which come up on the screen, which are really nice. I'm going to show you those as well. And then of course, being Rane, the faders are really nice. Firstly, you can take the panel off here and you can change everything. Really lovely buttery crossfader there, and top faders are lovely too. And around the front here, you've got a adjust, so if you don't want that quite so buttery, it's up to you how you have it. And in my guide to the Rane 1 Mark II, I actually take this off and show you inside. So go look at our video manual to the Rane 1 Mark II if you want a better look at what's going on underneath the faders there. All right then, so that's the decks and the mixer. Let's look around the back of the unit. So over here then, we have our microphone inputs. There's 2 XLR inputs there. We have our auxiliary input, which is where you can plug in the one thing that is additional to everything that I'm showing you as far as the music that you can play on this thing goes. So you don't get DBS or anything like that on here, extra decks or anything, just one auxiliary input. We've also got the booth output, which are balanced TRS. Then we've got the main output where you get a choice of unbalanced or balanced XLR. Now we've got so many inputs. So there is a SD card slot, which I think is nice because I don't think plugging in USBs around the back of here feels particularly secure to me. I'd rather have one on the top, quite frankly. If I was going to plug in a USB, I just don't like the idea of them sticking out the back. But like I say, you can put an SD card in there as well, which is just completely flush to the unit. I like the SD card option. Now up here, we've got even more USBs. So here we've got USB so you can plug into the computer for using Serato and Algorithms DJ Pro, but also you can plug in sound switch in order that you can control lighting, because one of the things this does is control your lighting via that sound switch dongle that plugs in here as well. And underneath, it's got a hard disk slot like on the Prime 4 and Prime 4 Plus. So you can put your music onto a large hard disk, a large SATA drive, and stick it underneath and have it permanently in the unit. An awful lot of ways of getting your permanent music into there. Around the front, you've got your headphones 1/8 and 1/4 inch. You've got your level and mix from main to Q for the headphones, and split Q on or off. And there's a split Q left and right adjuster in the settings. We'll get to those in a little while. So this is where you can adjust the level of the auxiliary input that we saw around the back, or the Bluetooth input, because it has got a single Bluetooth input that you can use. Quite nice with backups and so on there. This is the overall level of the sampler, which is triggered on the pads. We'll be talking about the sampler in a little while. So these are the crossfader and contours for the faders up here. So here we've got the crossfader contour itself from sharp to smooth, and the hamster switch or the reverse button there. And then over here we've got a similar thing. We've got the 2 reverse buttons and the channel contour for the up faders. And then we've also got, as I talked about earlier, the tension adjust, as I demoed to you, to get this as soft or as resistant as you want it for your personal mixing style. Over this side then we've got our microphone controls. So microphone 1 has got on, off and duck. This isn't the most easy to use button, frankly, for switching on and off, but hey. Then we've got our level control and our lows and highs. Microphone 2 has just got the off on button with no talk over level and low and highs. And then the microphone effects, we looked at them very briefly on the screen, didn't we? This is where you can turn them on and off and then adjust the depth in hardware, so you don't have to go into the screen to put the reverb or echo on the mic if you don't want to. Right, now it's time to start demoing the thing, because we're going to go through the effects, we're going to go through the stems, and then we're going to look as fast as we can, but without missing anything, through everything that's in the engine software, which is a lot. The effects you're likely to use the most are what they call the sweep effects here. They're normally set to filters on most DJ gear, and indeed they are set by default to filter on here. So you turn it on and off by pressing this button here. With it on, it will sound like this. Moving it to the left will give you a low pass filter, and to the right will give you a high pass filter. By holding down this button here, I can choose one of the other options, and there are noise, wash, reverb and dub echo. Let's have a listen to those. Moving on from these then down to the main effects, the paddle effects. These are where you're going to get funky. This is where you can do more stuff than you can do on here. And they're quite easy to use, which is nice. So despite the fact that there's a lot going on here, it's actually pretty immediate. It's not quite as daunting as on some units. So let's take a closer look at the controls we've got here. This control here takes us from dry to wet, or 0 to 10 in depth. In other words, all the way to the left, there's no effect no matter what you do here. All the way to the right, when you turn it on, it's only the effect, and in the click in the middle, it's half and half. Parameter adjusts something about the effect. If you hold down the parameter and turn it, it'll adjust something else about the effect, which is quite nice. So here we've got frequency and we've also got feedback. So two different things you can adjust on this particular effect, which is echo. And beats gives you the number of beats it takes for the effect to repeat itself. So this is currently set to 1 beat, that's set to 3/4 of a beat, that's set to half a beat, and you get variations there. So listen to the echo. Moving on then, we've got reverb. Recycle. If you'd like to know more about exactly what some of these functions do come and take a look at our full video manual and training tutorial of this, which at the time of recording is forthcoming. There'll be a link underneath the video when it's ready. It's about 2 hours long. It's free and it'll talk you through absolutely everything about actually using this unit. There's too much to go through in a quick review. Okay, moving on. Now this is an interesting one, pitch down. It will give you a effect which is, well, it's quite a musical way of stopping the music, really. Rise is very roughly the opposite. And then echo out is quite nice, because echo out gives you the equivalent of what I've been doing to make, to allow you to hear the echo. So what I've been doing is this. But echo out will do that all in one go, so you don't have to worry about the fader. If you want to change any of those buttons to be a different effect, then you hold down the button that you want to change. So for instance, if I wanted to change echo out, I'd hold it down and all the other effects that are available come up here and you can choose something else from here. Again, if you want me to talk you through all of this, including all the parameter settings, come and find the video manual. Next up is fader effects. The implementation of fader effects here is better than on previous gear. There's less room for error. So fader effects work by turning this fader or this fader into an effect control. And so it's a nice way of adding an extra bit of flair to your mixing without having to go up here. Now you turn it on by doing this, off by doing that, simple. But if you move it slowly, it will still work as a normal volume fader. It's only if you move it quickly you get the fader effect. That's what's new and I like it. So this is what it sounds like. Notice that when I faded out slowly then, it just worked like a normal fader. Really nice. Now there's a choice of fader effects. You don't have to have that one. You hold down this button here and then on the screen you get to choose. So we've got fader echo, stutter verb, echo down and reverb down. Let's turn on stutter verb and have a listen to that one. Echo down, a bit like pitch down. Reverb down. I really like this way that you can move it down slowly and not have the effect. It just means the fader is always doing something, whether this is turned on or not. Now you might be forgiven for thinking, where's some of the more normal effects? Where's flanger? Where's things like that? They are here, they're on the touch effects, where they generally combine an effect with a filter, not always, but generally on an XY pad. So the way you trigger these is by pressing this touch effects button down here. That brings this screen up here that lets you use your finger to control the effect over the music. You choose the effect you want by tapping at the bottom here, not by long holding on the button that I pressed at the beginning. So here's all the ones that we can choose from: filter echo, LFO filter, filter gate, and there indeed is the flanger. Let's start off then with the flanger. It has a little latch control down here which you can do to lock on the effect if you want to leave it without your finger being on the screen. Just listen to a couple more of these then. Let's listen to a filter, dub, echo. The ones with filter in the names are the ones where you're going to get an obvious filter as one of the parameters, up or down or left or right. So these are really nice. It's a nice new way of doing the effects with, again, we've got parameters at the bottom here that we can mess around with depending on the one that we've chosen. Let's do one more then. Let's do a filter reverb. So stems is a big thing in DJing right now. The ability to hit a button and immediately get an a cappella, immediately get an instrumental, immediately get the drums or the bass or whatever. And that is something that's baked into this unit quite deeply. So we're going to have a look at the different ways you can access stems on here. You do need to analyze your music ahead of time on your laptop before exporting it to DJ with on here. So be aware of that. The unit will be able to do it itself on board apparently at some point soon, but not at the time of launch. Right, so assuming you've got some tracks you've analysed, I've just used one of the demo tracks as I've been doing throughout this, then these buttons are all going to do exactly what I'm going to show you now. So we're going to start a track playing with a vocal in it. Now, in order to quickly get the a cappella of the track, I just tap this button here with the word a cappella on it, and here we go. Likewise, if I want an instant instrumental, this one. Now, you might have noticed they don't sound fantastic. There's a bit of bleed and so on. It's just the nature of the game at this stage with this kind of tech. They will probably improve over time, but they're quite usable in the mix. It's just when you isolate them that they can sound a little bit ropey in my experience. Now, another way of doing this, which gives you a little bit more control, a little bit more flair, is to hold down the shift button while you press one of these. And what that will do is give you the thing it says, a cappella or instrumental, but it'll get rid of everything else in a slightly more interesting way than just turning it off. So let's do that. Let's use the shift button and a cappella to see what that sounds like. So you can hear it's doing an echo out on everything else and then leaving the a cappella in the mix. And you get pretty much the opposite with the instrumental version of that. It's echoing out the vocals and leaving the instruments. Just a slightly nicer way of doing that. Now, even more control comes up here with these faders, because if you press the stem level button at the top here, then you can use these three knobs, not faders, these three to take out the drums, the melody and the vocals. A little bit more control, a little bit more fun. And the final way of doing this, and the more usual way really of controlling stems, that's certainly the way that gives you control over all four of them, then using the pads is the way to go. So down here, you've got two sets of pads, of course, one for each deck. We're using the left-hand deck at the moment, so we're looking at the left-hand pads. They're currently set to a different mode, hot cues, which we're going to look at in a minute. So we want to press this button here to go to stems mode. Now you can see I've got vocals, melodies, bass and drums on these nice little displays here that give you various info about the pads that you've got selected. So these are all off at the moment. They're now all on, which means when I hit play on the track, we're going to hear the whole track. If I want to take the bass out, I'll tap the bass one. I want to leave just the vocals and drums, get rid of the melody as well. So you can see I've got more granular control here over what's going on, because I get my choice of any of the four using the pads. Okay, let's have a little look at the rest of the stuff on the pads, and then we're going to look in a bit more detail at what's going on under the hood, because you might look at this unit and say, look, it's really, really nice. It's got motorized platters. It's got this quite unusual tall screen, but ultimately it's a 2-channel standalone. What's new? Well, hopefully I've shown you some of the power already by playing through some of the stuff it's got on it. But when we look under the hood, you'll see that there's an awful lot in here that makes it probably the most powerful software ever put into a standalone unit. However, back to the pads, we've got hot cues, and hot cues are exactly as they are on all other units. So you can set hot cues wherever you want by tapping them. It'll give you the name of the hot cue by number, but if you prepare these ahead of time in your software, these can be actual names. So you could cue them to things like the drop or the vocals or whatever and name it up here to make it easier for yourself. And then you jump back to them by pressing them. And then you can get rid of them by holding down shift and tapping them again like that. So roll is loop roll. So this is where you get to roll the part of the track that you tap the button on. So if I want a half beat loop roll here, I'll tap this one. It says half there. And then as you move from top to bottom and left to right, on the greens, you double the length. So half is that one there. That means that's quarter, and that's an eighth. And then that's half to 1 and 2. These ones are triplet values. So we've got a quarter, a half, and a single triplet. And they're in a different color to save you the confusion of trying to figure out how to double and half when you're doing a classic loop roll effect. It has a sampler. You can put your own sounds on here. The ones that come with it are the classics, the siren, the fresh sound, wheel up, and air horn. You also get a couple of 909 sounds, 808 clap, and an open hat. Wonderful. And that's it for down here. We've also got the loop controls, again, very standard. So looping will show on the screen as well to show you the loop you've chosen. You half or double the length of the loop you want using this button here and that one there. And you press this button here to trigger the loop. Loop in and loop out manually can be done with the shift button, and holding down shift and pressing reloop will get you back into the loop. Nowhere to save loops on this. So key adjust will move the key up or down by a semitone. And then you've also got key sync here as well, which gives you the choice of using fuzzy key mixing as a sync option. Thank you very much for putting that in there in music, as we invented it, and it's the way we teach people to use key mixing here at Digital DJ Tips at the school. Okay, so that's more or less it here. Just one thing that I've never quite understood about this kind of controller that I think is a bit disappointing is that you might have thought that the motor off control up here, which turns the motor off when you're playing, so there's no motor playing there because I've pressed shift and motor there. So now the motor is going round, which is what most people would buy it for, of course, but not everyone. Some people might want to DJ on one of these and want to turn that motor off so they can DJ the way that you do on CDJs or on other controllers where there's nothing spinning the platter around, right? And as you just saw, that's possible. You just press shift and that button. The problem is here that it now deviates from the way a fixed platter controller would work, because on a fixed platter unit, you can use the outside for nudging, which is slowing down and speeding up. Just like on a turntable. But just like on a turntable, on that kind of controller, when you grab the top, it will act like vinyl. It will let you do all the vinyl stuff, but it won't do it on this one. It's exactly the same as doing this. Now it's probably something technical, but I would like it when you're playing a track with or without the motor on, for it to do this. Give you that kind of vinyl control, and it doesn't, which is a shame, but hey, it's part and parcel of this. It's not the first controller that's had that limitation. Before we round up, and I'll let you know what we think about this, we need to look more closely at the workflow and at some of the power in engine. Now this is going to be a really fast run through because there is a lot in here. I could spend another hour talking through all the features here, which is why our forthcoming video, which talks through everything about this unit, is essential viewing if you're planning on buying it, if you've ordered one, or if you've got one and you want a bit of help. However, that's going to be linked underneath when it's ready. For now, let's just have that overview. So these three buttons at the top give you control over what you see on the screen. We've already seen this one where you select your source. This one here lets you go from browsing the collection to seeing the waveforms. When you're browsing the collection, you have these little icons here that let you do various things. So within the list of our tracks here, I can go like this to load the track to a chosen deck, or I can go like this to prepare the track, add it to a window, which I'm going to show you in a minute. In fact, let's do that. Let's just add a couple of tracks to a prepare window like this. That's one added, another one added, and that's another one added. So I can show you those in a second. So up here, and down to this side, we've got our icons that let you manipulate the library, and across the top we've got the ones that let you do something with it. So here I've gone into search, and you can see I've got a QWERTY keyboard come up. It's a little bit squashed, but it does the job. If I tap on the search icon there, I can choose what to search by to make it a little bit easier to search for exactly what I want. Now this again is just another way of seeing all my different sources without leaving here, without pressing the button at the top. Playlist is a list of the playlists on the unit. Prepare is a list of tracks I've done that prepare thing I just showed you with. So these are the tracks I've just added, and when you play them, they'll disappear from here. It's like pulling them halfway out of a record box. History shows you previous days' DJ sets. So this is a DJ set from yesterday at the time I'm recording this. Not only the time and the date, but also the place you played the set, which is pretty cool. And folder gives you the classic folder view of your music. So this is what's in the folder we're currently at. So these are the file names. This isn't the ID3 tags of the tracks, which we view in the other views. So I go back to the playlist view. You can see here, we've got the full view where we've got the key and we've got the BPM and we've got the time of the track and the proper title and the artwork and so on. So really the workflow is you find a playlist that you want to play from by using the controls we just looked at. And then when you're in there, you're going to do the things that I'm about to show you now with those little menus across the top. So you can actually make playlists on the unit. That's what this one here does. I can click create playlist here and make them on the unit itself. I'm not going to do that now. We're just going to stick with the demo tracks playlist here. So once you're inside a playlist like this, we can make the fonts smaller. and bigger. Smaller is obviously useful if you've got a load of music and your eyes aren't old like mine. Here we can load a whole playlist to a deck, which is quite nice because it means that you can just leave background music playing. So now the next two are a match rules function, and this lets you choose what you want to display as part of that playlist, filtered based upon whether it is a close by in the BPM, close by in key, whether it's a similar genre or the same genre, or whether you've played it before or not. You set all these rules here, and then this is our whole playlist, and tapping the icon next to it will filter the playlist by those rules. And that means that you can quickly find something that's suitable to play literally for the next track. And then this one here lets you sort the whole playlist in different ways. So currently it's in the order that I've set the tracks in, but you could do it in BPM order if you quickly want to find something in the playlist on a similar BPM. And now you can see the BPMs are going from 90 down to 119, down to 124. They're going up. And you can do it by all the other things you see here as well. Once you've chosen something you want to sort by, you can choose whether it sorts up or down, or from A to Z or Z to A, whatever, by pressing this button here to flip the sort order of the playlist. So when you're actually here playing the tracks, you can access the things that you've decided to show on this screen, and I'll show you how you can manipulate this screen in a minute. And another nice thing you can do is zoom in and out on the main waveform like this, just by using the old two-finger touch gesture. However, there's a lot more control, and that's what the menu button is for. So in this menu here, we've got the 4 things across the top, and the first one is the stuff you're likely to want to use the most. So continue is autoplay. Bluetooth device volume, it lets you automatically control from this unit the volume on any linked Bluetooth device, so you don't have to go to your phone under the DJ booth or wherever. If you're just playing a set from there, you can do it from here. Ableton Link lets you sync with Ableton if you've got Ableton on your computer. And Beat Grid Edit takes you into a really nice editing mode here, where you've got pretty much everything you get on laptop software for editing your beat grids, which includes being able to add your own downbeats and beat grid as you move through a track, so you can deal with flexible beat gridding in here right on the unit, which is nice. Just about everything else about this controller can be set both for you personally to carry around on your USB drive, and also for the unit itself universally, even down to the way the screen is laid out for the waveforms and so on via the remaining functions. Let's have a very fast look at those then. So I'm going to get out of the beat gridding and I'm going to go to layouts. Here's where we have 3 layouts we can choose. You choose them at the top here, and you can choose things like the orientation of the waveforms, whether the library shows or not, and so on. I've got view 3 set for horizontal waveform. Let's turn the library off there. And so now when I go back to here, you'll see that the waveforms are suddenly horizontal. This is the first one, the second one would be there, and we've got a much cleaner layout. And then they can be saved in those 3 slots so that you can come back to them whenever you want by going back to here and layout. So I'll go back to view 1 for now. So now profile of the settings that are to do with me personally. So there's playback settings, which are things like the way the motorized platter works and the way the sync button works. You can set the cues and loops up to how you want them to behave. Display will give you different options for the way the time is shown, the way the tracks flash when they're getting near the end and things like that. Safety will stop you accidentally loading tracks or accidentally scrolling through tracks when they're playing, and that's up to you. And then library again is stuff that will just be the way you like it set, the way you like your BPMs to show you, the way you like the key to be displayed, and so on. There's even one here which doesn't matter for this unit, but it does matter for other Engine DJ units that have lit up jog wheels, where you can choose the colors of your decks, and that again carries around with you. And when you plug your USB into any Engine DJ gear, these settings will be there, at least the ones that apply. And settings are the ones that are only for this unit. So we've got device settings. This is things like whether the Wi-Fi is on, whether the Bluetooth is on, how long the screensaver takes to kick in, and so on. Settings for the mixer, you can choose the EQs so that they're complete kill EQs or whether they're typical EQs, and things like the way the headphones work, the way the split cue works, whether you're going to have the split cue left and right or right and left, whether the output is stereo or mono, and so on. So there's loads and loads and loads of default settings for the effects. Again, for the microphones, you can set the attenuation and the threshold. You've got a 3-band EQ for the microphone there. Then you've got the settings for all the extra services here, so you can turn on or off things you don't want. If you don't use the streaming services, you can turn them off and get them out of the way, lighting and Ableton and so on. And finally, you can update over the air. You don't have to download things to your laptop and put them on USB drives and run through that kind of rigmarole. You just update here, you can check over the air and make sure you're running the latest software. It's taken me nearly 40 minutes to talk through this unit, which is testament to how much they've crammed into it. And the value is very good as well. But is it for you? Well, if you're an open format or general DJ who just wants something that's standalone, that's got motorized platters so it feels like playing on decks, and it's all in one, well, this is it. There isn't another one out there. But if it wasn't very good, then that probably wouldn't be enough. But thankfully, it is good. The software that's built in is absolutely fantastic. The versatility, all the streaming services and all the extra stuff it does means that you're unlikely to outgrow it. They are upgrading the firmware on these things really regularly so that you're always going to get new features. And so you're pretty safe. If you've looked at the Rane 1 and now the Rane 1 Mark II and thought, yes, that's for me, but I don't want the laptop, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. If you've looked at the Rane 4, for instance, and thought, I actually want 4 channels, I see the purpose of that, I want to be able to plug my decks in around the back, well, you can't on this one. It's only got 2 channels and there's no extra decks, just the one auxiliary input. So in that case, it might not be for you. Equally, if you've looked at the screen and just thought, I don't really get that, I think that's a bit weird. It's flat and it's vertical. It's not for me. Then again, I would just think twice. You might be better off with something like the Prime 4 Plus, which is a bit more traditional. But for DJs for whom this is the thing, really nice vinyl effect with motorized platters, built into something that's designed for open format DJing, that's designed with all the features like stems and samples and hardware effects, which are fantastic on board, and all the stuff which is new to this one compared to previous engine DJ powered gear, which is a lot, as we just kind of went through a little bit at the end. You're not going to go too far wrong with this. It's great value for money. It's very innovative. And we've spent a great few days here reviewing it and enjoying it here in the studio. I think we're going to be spending a lot more time with it, not least because, as I keep saying, we've got a full, probably 2-hour long free video manual and training tutorial coming for this to join our video manuals and training tutorials for all the other top end DJ gear that you'll find on this site. It's been a lot of fun. And if you've got questions about it that we haven't answered, please do ask them underneath. My team and I will get to you. Now, if you want to learn how to DJ properly on gear like this or on any other DJ gear, then DJing is pretty similar whatever you do it on. You need to learn the same basic things and then you can DJ, hey, on the lot. And that's what we teach here at Digital DJ Tips, both in our book, which I'd like you to have a free copy of. Head to digitaldjtips.com and click the join button, which is this color in the top corner. We'll give you a copy of this best-selling book on how to DJ for free, but also in our All Access DJ program. All Access gives you access to everything we've made as a DJ school since 2010, which is dozens of courses from the best DJs in the game, from Jazzy Jeff to James Hype to many, many more. Also, you learn production, you learn how to make mixtapes, you learn how to use stems and harmonic mixing, you learn how to mix all kinds of music, you even learn how to set up DJ businesses. It's all in the All Access Pass. It's the best way to learn DJing in 2026. So if you'd like to learn more about that, there is a link underneath. But meanwhile, for me, Phil, get good, get out there and make the moments. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.